You get up at 4:30 in the morning for 2 flights to Kentucky. That's a rough one, right? But at the same time, it's a nice day. I went from accepting that it was going to pour rain all day to having an update that it was not. And that made everything good. Plus, flying with my wife, she got to come back to Northfield last night, watch Slim Jimmy win, and come to Kentucky. Now, we got to make a little sidetrack here. For her to get back into Canada on Tuesday, she has to have a PCR test. So we had to find a PCR test close to Lexington. There wasn't one today. There was no availabilities close to Kentucky. What is in my eye? Close to Kentucky today. So we had to go 30 minutes away, but it has to be done because she can't get across the border without it. You have to give it 2 days. So it had to be done right now. We're turning right on what was that road again?
Versailles.
Oh, Versailles, I see. Not Versailles?
No.
Okay. So we are heading out to get her tested, her PCR test, and then spend the day here in Kentucky, hopefully miss the rain. Oh, that was fun. Kentucky, yes. Hopefully miss the rain, and then we will
Sleep.
will you stop with the sleep? You sleep when you're dead. And then catch an early flight again. We had to actually call around to hotels because it dawned on me as I was looking to book a hotel for Kentucky, that we need a shuttle, right? As we flew here, we didn't drive here. This truck is heading back. Where are we going? Left. This truck is heading back to Ohio, to Cleveland, right after the race. These horses are staying down here for at least 1 week with John Boutenshane, maybe more. I suspect race this week, race next week, and then there's a gap of another week. Do we leave them down here? Probably, but we'll see how that plays out over the next. We'll see how that plays out over the next week or so. So here we are with the aged horses. I knew I was going to get somewhere eventually. Aged horses. I'll give you the hotel story in a minute. We need a shuttle. Not every hotel. I was beginning to tell them why.
They don't care.
They do care. You care. Why wouldn't they care? What are you talking about? Of course they care. You see, I almost missed you. There's your yellow blinking light. We should just stop. Wait for it to turn green.
I don't know.
It's actually smart what they do. They put the yellow blinking light on. What they're saying is, hey, if there's nobody coming, away you go. It's actually smart. We got lots of time. Yeah, okay, good. So we're here with the aged horses. How'd they race this week? Brave World had a week off. He's going to race this week. And for those of you out there looking at the Gold Cup and Saucer entries, I'm glad we didn't go to PEI. There's some decent horses in there, one in particular from Yonkers. There's some nice horses in there, and I'm glad we stayed put where we were. He's going to race this week, coming off a win in the Preferred 2 at Grand River in 153. He's going to have a tough bunch regardless of where he races. So he'll be racing this week. Compass Rose DC gets the week off. Both her and One My Heart Hanover, their livers jumped last week. Not crazy, not high like they have in this winter where we had to give horses time and treat. We will have to treat them, but yeah, their livers were both a little bit high. ASTs were a little high. I think we've come to the conclusion we're probably going to stop with One My Heart Hanover for a few weeks. You know, I guess I should talk about her more than the 3-year-old thing. So I'll leave it the way it is. Compass Rose DC, she'll miss next week, and I think we can get her back in action the week after that. Cruising in Styles racing next week. He'd been racing good. Anytime he draws the outside or the trailing poster, heaven forbid, come first over. Where was that guy going? Come first over. You're not going to have a favorable finish with Old Cruiser. So, you know, like a lot of horses, just need luck at the draw. You know, have a horse that's healthy, sound, going in and get a good drive, and you should be okay. And I suspect he will in the coming weeks. Don't Believe Me, Just Watch continues to race good. He raced good the other day, came from last, was circling the field, I guess. I missed the race, but I got filled in as we have a number of clients that are involved in the Don't Believe Me, Just Watch group. He has been racing good, and I think he'll continue to race good. Globetrotting, I'll be completely honest with everybody. I wasn't super happy about qualifying her with no hobbles on. I think she's a better, or with hobbles on. I think she's a better mare without them, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna make that a statement. I'm not gonna argue or say that they should have done this or should have done that. I'm in no position to tell Ron Burke what to do. But when it comes to this mare, I think she is better without the hobbles on, but she's just not a horse you can drive as easy as other horses. She's not as sure-footed as another horse. So, I mean, I think that comes from relying on the hobbles her whole life. As a 2 and 3 year old, when she put a step in, those hobbles were always there to catch her, and they're not there now. So I think Matt Kikali got along really well with her. And then if you put her on the half-mile track on the rail, I wasn't shocked when she made a break. Or if you put her in a position where she could be compromised, you're going to be upset with the outcome. So it is what it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you should go out winning 51 with the hobbles on. I have no idea. But personally, my personal preference, coming from a guy who wears a lot of hobbles on a lot of trotters, I rather liked her more without them. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out this week. Miss Brampton Beast no longer with us. Old Beastie finally pulled her tent pegs and left. She got claimed the other day. This is a filly that could go forward. She could at any point anyway. I think she was probably a good 20 claimer disguised as a mediocre 7 because she just went through the motions more times than not. I hope she starts racing better. I hope she starts putting it all together, whether it's for Travis Cullen or whoever else. But at the same time, I think that's where she belongs. She raced well in there for us, and that's what it is. What it is. Path of Totality. She only proved one thing: she's not an open trotter yet, because that's who she was in with. Thunder, that won that race, who's trained by Brett Miller and Stacy. I should never race against Thunder with Path of Totality, and that's certainly nothing against Brett. I don't blame him. I'd love to race Thunder against Path of Totality, but you can't do it the other way. She's just not good enough. 53-1, probably sucked the soul right out of her at the 7, long before the 7/8 pole. Then she just went through the motions after that. I think in with horses that she can beat, she will. And I think she will.
Right on the
I-75 South? Okay. So Path of Totality will likely head to the Meadows next week. Good news is she's coming in mechanically good. Her knees were good. That's the best I've seen her warm up in quite a while. So maybe we got her going in the right direction, which is good. There were nights where we raced her and I'm like, man, she's pretty sore on her knees. Call Lauren and ask them what they need. Amy, Tim Deaton is calling. Call Lauren right now. A little sore in her knees some nights, and she was actually very good the other night. So, Path of Totality, Spirit of Dio, first start on Lasix. Now you don't see that very often. You don't see a horse race as good as her and then end up on Lasix directly after. So I don't know. I'm like you. We're gonna have to wait and see. Is she gonna be bionic on Lasix? We scoped her many times where there wasn't blood. So was that an anomaly? Maybe. But at the same time, I don't want to happen again. So we ended up putting her on Lasix. So I don't know if it'll help or not. If it helps, man, she could be a scary animal. At very worst, she should be able to hold the line a little bit better with a little bit of Lasix. So Spirit of Dio, we'll see how she races on Friday. Stonewort Simba, admittedly, was a little bit flat the other day. I want to see a couple of bounce back miles from this guy. We'll see how he is next week. Time Al Houdini has been racing great, continues to race great again. Man, Steve Boston's really has this horse on his toes. I-75 South, you said, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. They need the list of all the owners. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have Linda send it to them.
We'll get Linda to send it to them.
So Time Al Houdini has been racing great. This is what we have to deal with everywhere we go. The race office calls, list of owners on the horses. These horses all raced here last week. You should have had the list of horses last week that we sent you. Anyway, whatever. So Time Al Houdini is and continues to race very, very good. West 52nd, is a frustrating animal. Jason trained him by himself in 156 yesterday, tightening him up for what ended up being maybe it was the day before, what ended up being a 9-hole draw. But here's a horse that can train so much faster than he races. And why? Because he just doesn't put in an honest effort all the time.
Cutting it really bad.
But we will continue to race him and get him in a good spot. Hopefully this training mile really shakes his tree and he comes forward in a big way, because he is a better horse than he shows. White Tiger canceled because of heat the other day. Too hot to race in Massachusetts. It must be some kind of hot place. So White Tiger will race next
Can we
week.
just send you the same list as it was last time?
The only good thing is
I can just send the same list that it was last time?
The only good thing with Tiger is it gives Jeff Lieberman an opportunity to...
I think we can send it right to them.
To give Jeff Lieberman an opportunity to train him with the equipment changes he wanted to make, and I'm eager to see how he does with those. And then, yes, good news, bad news. I mean, bad news is we didn't really get what we were looking for definitively. I'll take care of it. We didn't really get what we were looking for definitively. With him, they did the bone scan on left hind. Didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Racehorse stuff, but nothing serious, which leads me to believe it must be one of two things. Either he's got some soft tissue up in his back area, somewhere up deep, that's bothering him, which I don't really buy, because you usually see horses get better or worse with that. Him, it just seems to be a constant thing. Or there's a number of little issues that are masking as something major. So you may have a little roughness on his left sesamoid, maybe his left coffin joint's hurting him, something rare like that. Then throw in maybe a left front ankle that's bothering him. All of a sudden, you know, the entire body of work looks like, oh, he's crippled left hind, or he's off left hind, something's wrong with him left hind, when in actual fact it could be a number of things that contribute to what I'm seeing. Your eyes sometimes deceive you when it comes to horses. And yes, it's definitely a very peculiar horse, but at the same time, he's a horse, and we will get him squared away. So those are your race horses. I just got to do a little work here and get our ownerships cleaned up. Yep, I'll get it. Get our ownership cleared up. Oh, Winchester, I see it. Get our ownership cleared up on these horses for Kentucky today, and then we're off to the races. We'll talk to you all very soon.